Okay, so in this video, we're going to start giving a little bit of motion, forward motion to this ball. I think this is a different scene that I picked up, so I don't have my animation that I previously was working on the previous tutorial on it, which is good, because I won't be needing it. I'm going to start animating a little bit more attributes when it comes to rotation and the turn. But if you can kind of get just the basic up and down motion down and see how the graph editor works with able to kind of like making that motion clear, then doing this step-by-step animation or pose-to-pose per se animation, forward animation I guess, should come a little bit easier then in terms of like understanding how the graph can kind of help you. Now, there's a lot of different, like frame by frame, you can actually see how the ball would actually move, with squash and stretch. Obviously, with moving forward, there's obviously physics involved, and it's not really dependent on what type of ball is. All balls are not the same, so physics would determine the weight versus the gravity versus the forward motion of how everything would work. So obviously if you've got a ping pong ball, it probably is going to bounce a lot longer than say a basketball would. So you have to kind of take all those things in consideration and understand with your forward motion how long something will roll, how long you want your animation to be, really, how what are you kind of going for. So this is just going to be a basic, couple bounces and then it's over. What I like to do, let me kind of get this thing out of the way. Is when it comes to like setting a path, you can just sit there and kind of eyeball it, but I'll draw out like a little surface curve. Now I need to move my pivot point down since this was the, because this is actually a little easier with certain rigs. If you were to rig up the ball, like if you Google any kind of Maya tutorial, sometimes they'll have ball rigs. Sometimes they'll have animating with deformers, and that all depends on what kind of you're looking for. I think for this, just beginner wise, it's just easier just to do it with the actual scale of it, moving the pivot point, and just understanding how the rotation is going to start affecting, your movement. So let me move this on the bottom of the ball. So this is a side view. So I'm going to make my ball just kind of do 2 bounces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually draw out my path. And this can be rough. I'm not going to attach it to this or anything. I don't like that. Maybe it's kind of a little skip bounce after that, but I'm not going to go that far. And this is just so I can eyeball it, It's always good to, that is my front. I should do that on the side. You can animate it from the front, that's fine. Actually, let me turn that because that's going to confuse me if I start moving this thing around. Okay, that's just, get really particular about how I view my objects in Maya sometimes. So if I'm seeing something from the front, I need to kind of keep it this, because I never know where the project's going to take. So I'm going to move this back. I'm also going to move my, stay on my plane. I'm going to move this back here so I don't affect it at all. You could lock this thing up, but it's just my path so I can visually kind of see. Like I said, it's not perfect, but it is a path. So you remember in the last animation it went to kind of a squash agitation before it took off, and then it kind of went back to normal, then stretched down. I'm going to kind of follow that same format basically. So, but first what I want to do is I want to actually kind of get the actual keyframe here. So I've got 120, no 40. Probably should go 120 maybe. Yeah. So first position S. I think we're on 12 for that bounce there. I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to just be adjusting all of these. So S. Now, this is kind of how I'm keeping up with it. I was 12 frames from this top, and this is about half of the distance, so I'm only going to go 6. So 24 plus 6 is what? 30. This will be my next position here. And half of that is 3. Distance is there. This will be my final bounce. Then it'll start to roll. Nope, don't want to stay there. I want to go here. So already I kind of have my path of how it's going. And this can kind of get you a good little idea of, I'm going to cut this thing off at, say, 50. I'm going to leave it so I can kind of roll it some. So now I can kind of go in the graph editor and kind of make those arches a little bit more better, I'm sorry. Make them a little bit more cleaner in terms of how I did with the last one. Actually, I probably need to break that and kind of move, break the tangent. Breaking the tangent basically is so you're not affecting either side of it. You're putting a separation in the tangents. Do it here too. Kind of make my arches a little bit more cleaner. Let's see what that looks like. There. That is a little higher. There we go. Now, since my arches are kind of looking good with these tangents being broken, and that's what that was for. I didn't go over that in the first one because I really didn't need to. But now you can see it's more of a bounce, how we've got it. A little bit cleaner. Now it's all about following like the squash and stretch rules and the rotation. You can just go back in and kind of key that stuff in. I kind of probably I'm off my path a little bit, but that's okay because that was just basically a mental guide for me. Because you know, obviously in my animation you wouldn't see the guide, so you add this on a layer. We'll call this my guide. Bling, 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 bling. Alright, so now the fun part is kind of coming in and doing the exaggerations and the squash and the rotations. So let's do this from the side, really. I'll bring my guide back up so I can kind of see whenever. Side. So let me see. I'm gonna squash her down here. And remember how in the first tutorial when I was talking about the ball bouncing, I kind of kept it in the same spot. So I'm going to do that the same here too. So I'm going to copy and paste this. These three. This one I'm going to kind of go ahead and start arching it. Oh wait, I didn't key my scale. I didn't press S. Arch that a little bit, and I'm going to scale them down under 1. There we go. Now I'm going to stretch her out a little bit. You can start to begin to arch it there, I guess, if you wanted to. But I'm going to go ahead and get the landing over here first before I start messing with the middle. So copy, paste, paste. This is going to be arched here. It's going to be almost at 1 maybe. Now below my ground plane, which in reality wouldn't be right, but I guarantee you won't even be able to see it. So it's there. Here. And then it's kind of just a cycle. It's cool because really I don't need to adjust the arch much in terms of rotation. So let me just continue right here. Now I may need to start lifting it up and doing my squash and stretch here a little bit more, because I don't want too far on the ground, too much on the ground. So let me see what it looks like besides that. So copy. I'll go ahead and scale this one up. Oh yeah. Probably actually wouldn't be stretching as much on the later hits, because there's really not enough space for it to be going, and gravity wouldn't be affecting it that much. So it's like the less and less you actually add to the actual ball in terms of scaling is good. So I'm going to keep it like that. Not much there. That's probably actually too much. Well, yeah. I need to copy this one again here and paste it there. Okay, so I can go ahead and arch it, turn it a little bit. And I'm going to take it back out to 1. Not much swash and stretch here, so let me look at this from another angle. Yeah, I could use another turn. It's starting to look really good though in terms of traveling forward and losing momentum. Now you could just kind of start mimicking if something has forward motion and is an organic creature, and say he was like a little a jelly bean character kind of walking. This would be his walk cycle from here to there, and you could kind of continually motioning that. But then that could be handled with basically looping the animation over and moving it on a path almost. And then at the end here, let's see, maybe about right here, we can go ahead and like turn him and start rolling him. And this is just me kind of starting to play around now. Gonna keyframe that. I'm gonna turn him like this, because he would start to roll over, I think. Let's add a little ball roll over, like he's rolling over on his. That's not gonna work. Maybe. It's too far, I think. I want to get rid of this keyframe. So that's where he would land down there. Let's move him forward. Let's bring him out to 1. This keyframe here. Have a slow roll. Oops. Let's see what this looks like. There we go. I can kind of continue with the rolling. So you see it's a little bit more to it. The biggest thing is to kind of mess with these animation graph, and I could probably actually go to the graph editor within for this very last roll and start adjusting some of the translate. Like right here at the end. You see how nice and clean these are? And then here it kind of goes off. It's just because it's like rolling. and there's not really, it's just kind of slowing down, and the slower it kind of rolls. But I do like that final squash there. It's kind of cool. It's like it was a squishy ball, and it's just kind of like starting to lose its weight and its momentum, so it just kind of stops. Cool. All right, well, have fun with that. But yeah, just remember this breaking the tangent, or these this tangent break here. You're able to kind of like adjust the curves, the Bezier curves on the arc itself. And I would suggest try to do some rotation, make it fun. I probably didn't rotate it enough while it was flying in the air to kind of, like, if it was a character, like a bug flying, maybe he would have like kind of turned a little bit more, but I just like this little subtle movements. So have fun with that. Hope you enjoyed it. And we'll continue on. Thanks a lot for watching.